Good afternoon, everybody. It's David Perlmutter from Quantum Listing, and I am really excited to have our special guest today, Linda Day Harrison of the Broker List. Linda is basically the fairy godmother for the commercial real estate industry. If you need help with something and you ask Linda, inevitably she says yes. And she is great at connecting people who need to be connected. And if you're not already a member of the Broker List, I highly recommend that you join because it's a great resource and we get a lot of great information. She aggregates blog posts and maybe after we talk about the DNA, Linda, you can tell us a little more about the Broker List.
Sure.
But let me. So Linda here's Linda, and she, prior to starting the Broker List, was a commercial real estate broker in the Chicago market. She worked a lot with the National Association of Realtors, and now she's in Las Vegas, and she is my partner in crime when I go to Recon, and we put together some events like Let's Get Social and Let's Get Smart. So if we ever get to Las Vegas again for Recon, ICSC Recon, and you folks listening today are there also, you are already invited. So we hope you'll join us for that. And I'm going to let Linda tell us all about the DNA of CRE and how it got started and what it's all about and what we can expect to get from it. So Linda, if you want to start sharing your screen, that would be wonderful, and take it away.
Yeah, let me do this because I'm do this right. Let's see. I think this will be better. Yeah. Okay. Can you see it okay?
Terrific.
Okay, good. Well, welcome everyone, guests. Thank you, David and Julia, for being such fabulous host and hostess to me on your #1 webinar of 2021. I'm honored to be here. I think it's great that we get to hear each other's voices, of course. That's the most important. And this is a near and dear subject to me, talking about the DNA of CRE. I like to give people a behind the scenes about how this culminated, what it's about, talk about the partnership, because I think it's important and it sets an example for maybe future partnerships. If you have an opportunity to partner with somebody, I think it's a wonderful thing to be able to collaborate with a colleague or maybe another brokerage or another website, or depending on what your business is. And this is kind of proof positive of that type of relationship. The DNA of CRE was started with Build Out and the Broker List, and really just people talking about the industry and talking about what we didn't know about the industry. One of the biggest questions we get constantly is asking about how many brokers do this, how many brokers do that, how many commercial real estate brokers are there, and nobody knows. Nobody knows. Even myself, being the Broker List, I have no idea. There's just not enough data about the commercial real estate industry available. And I think it's because real estate is this massive category of an industry that we are a tiny, tiny portion of it. So the DNA of CRE was conceived from that frustration and struggle into what are we really about? Who are we? How many men? How many women? How old are we? Where are we from? That's the heart of the DNA of CRE. So we really feel passionate about it as a service to the industry. With our combined followers and our social media Build Out and the Broker List, go out there and just literally comb the world trying to get people to take the survey. And I'm sure you've seen it go by at some point. So we've been doing it since 2015. We're very proud of the website that has actually evolved from it. It originally started out as a really simple infographic, believe it or not. Originally, it was a one-page, very simple we had a few questions on it, and it became this mammoth project. We then expanded to the marketers. So I was just going to show you on the website, if you can see my screen, on the actual DNA of CRE website, to the right, there's a hamburger menu. And that menu takes you into the survey and results and reports from the beginning, from the inception of the project. Additionally, if someone wanted raw data, we love to share raw data with people. We've had some extremely analytical people take that data and do some tremendous analysis with it. That is also available as well. But going back to the website, if you click on the survey button, this is this year's survey. So we're in the 2021 survey. This year we've added a little time to complete. This is kind of interesting to me because we used to be a 5-minute or less survey, but it's become more comprehensive, and it is a 2-part survey. We've gotten 2,400 plus responses since we started the survey, which we're proud of, because it's hard to get people to take surveys, let's face it. People want to know what's in it for me, and we try to explain that. The other thing we're really proud of is, we are putting together industry data that everybody should want to be a part of, because it gives you benchmarking, it shows you what your competitors are doing, you gain all kinds of insight, best practices, you can identify trends, you can see what products people are using to operate their businesses, how much time they spend, etc. And then on top of that, we have developed into a massive engine of promotional partners. When we started this, it was just build out in the broker list, promoting it and yelling at the rooftops, come on, please take the survey. And then we really started having people step up to the plate and ask us, what can we do to help? We see a lot of value in this. We love getting the raw data every year. Can we be involved? And we were like, absolutely, because we didn't know where this was really going to go and how big it was going to get. This is now our 6th year. So for example, this year we have this incredible lineup of promo partners, as you can see: CRE Chat, Brevitas, Corfac, Crew Network, Central Realty, DLC Management, Eric Harris. Yes, even an individual broker, tenant rep broker out of Atlanta, stepped up and said, I want to help. And I think that's amazing. We're so proud of that. Massimo Group, Quantum Listing, Quiet Valor, Realty Zap, TCN, and Tenant Base. Those are all our promo partners this year. And we're really proud of what they do. They literally come together. We give them graphics. We give them links. They put their teams together. They do email blasts. Quantum Listing is an incredible promo partner. They're letting us do this webinar today. Tomorrow night, we're doing a CRE chat with Melissa and Casey. They're a promo partner. So every time you see something promoted about the DNA of CRE, it's coming from a contribution of our incredible promo partners. So we thank you, David and Julia, for that. And then basically, once you get to the survey page, you can decide if you want to take the survey for broker, or if you want to take the survey for marketer as well. And we did that because we believe that brokerage works in tandem with marketing, because brokers are marketers. And I think we always think of brokers as sales, but they also have to be marketers. And I think now more than ever, brokers are realizing that they really have to not only sell their properties, but they have to sell themselves, because of the pressures that, being on the internet is forcing people to have to be out there. You don't have a choice. I'm sure there are brokers out there that are not online or are very, behind secret agent, as Alan Buchanan referred to them in his last video. They're secret agents. They don't tell anybody where they are. They're not on social, but that's a rare individual. So I think more and more people are realizing I have to be a marketer. So we've added the marketer survey, which is really an educational walkthrough, all the different things you have to do as a marketer and what all the different tools are. And I've gotten more feedback from people saying, I learned so much taking the survey. I didn't know about this, or I didn't know about that, because the questions have multiple choice. So you're seeing what some of the trends are and some of the products are within the survey itself. And I don't know if any of you on the call have taken the survey yet, but I hope you have. But if you haven't, I do recommend doing it, even if you just want to read the questions. I think the questions are educational in and of themselves as well.
I also just added a link in the chat, Linda, to the blog post that David wrote after taking the survey. And he goes through 10 reasons why you should take it. And a lot of what he talked about was what you just said, which was how eye-opening the questions can be to help you reevaluate whether you should be doing something different for your marketing.
Right. And I wonder, when people think about our industry and think about how independent everybody is, if you're working alone or even if you have a small team, it's hard to stay on top of all that stuff. It is so specialized today. All the components of online marketing are niches within themselves. Video, blogging, social media. Now we have, podcasting, now Clubhouse. I mean, all these things are popping up. How on earth? What?
Oh, sorry, it's my, ignore that.
No, go ahead. No, I jump in, anybody. I want to hear from people. So to me, how can you stay on top of all that stuff and be really on top of your industry, which is like its own industry, which is commercial real estate? So I think that shedding light on this is important, and following this, even so you're aware of it. So basically, I'm just going through some of these screens. I did that screen. I wanted to talk about the marketers part. This is an example of what I mean. How do you create your marketing materials? I love these kind of questions because I want to know, what are people using? Are they using any of these products? What's more prevalent in the industry? And I think what's good about that is it gives feedback to people that own brokerages, and it also helps people that work in brokerages, let's say the admins or the marketing people, to be able to go back to the boss and say, hey, look at boss, everybody, I'm the only one who doesn't have, I'm just making this up, Adobe, or I don't have Build Out Marketing or Canva. I need to be able to subscribe to those products. Everyone is using them. We need to stay on top of our game. So, I'm just, giving you an example of why I think it's such an important survey. And, obviously there's a lot more questions than that, and I'm just going to go through here quickly. But this is why the marketing is different. Another one, how do you source property photos for promotional materials? I like to see, are people doing this themselves? Are they outsourcing it? Is the client providing it? And I think all of this gives us insight. So if you're a broker and you see that, 25% of people, the client is providing the photos, it gives you a little bit more confidence when you're talking to clients and talking about the cost of marketing a property. And maybe there's some opportunity there for you to say, hey, would you contribute some money for photography or whatever the case may be? So these are things that help you in planning your business and what you're doing as a broker as well. And again, I think marketing is a huge part of being a good broker. You do need to be an excellent negotiator, but you also have to understand the psychology of marketing and how marketing works. Another thing, 3D tours. Right now, that's like, I'm curious to see it. Are people using it or not using it? I think with the virus, that's probably accelerated that. And what's nice about some of these questions is that we can look back on past years and say, well, when we asked last year, 3D tours was 2%. Now we're asking this year and it's 30%. I don't know the answer yet because we haven't completed the survey, but these are the kind of things that we're looking for and we're trying to get from the community to contribute to the survey. But I want to pause a minute because I feel like I'm just going on and on and on. But does anybody have any questions or comments?
Feel free to type in the chat too, guys, if you don't want to unmute yourself. You should all have access to the chat. So
now this one's a funny one. Do you use social media to promote your listings? I love that question because I think it's a mix. And I think back in the day when we first started with social media, I remember it was a big taboo. You don't promote your listings on social media. But my God, it's so tempting. It's right there. How do you not? What do you think of that, David? What is your opinion of that?
Oh, absolutely. Social media is becoming much, much more important. And I can see just from looking at Google Analytics about the traffic on Quantum Listing, and it's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's LinkedIn. And one that really surprised me as being super effective because it's so local is Nextdoor. So if you're
Wow.
next door and you have a listing in the neighborhood for where you're in next door, by all means put your listing on Nextdoor because you'll get a lot of attention, especially if it's for a retail establishment or even a restaurant. I think you get more traction on that because it's so locally focused.
Well, it's funny you say that. I have been saying this for 30 years in my career to my staff and to clients and anybody that would listen. I always used to say you have to use every single tool in the drawer to get the property filled. I was on the office leasing in the office leasing business. I know you're more heavier into retail, but I think it applies the same. And whatever it takes, you have to do it. And I think social media is just low-hanging fruit. I mean, how do you not use it? But some people don't. I mean, I don't see that many listings, in my opinion, on social media, as I think there probably should be for some people. I don't know how many people, I don't know. But anyway, so these are the kind of things that we're asking. And I think that these are, people don't think about it. Like this question here, do you use traditional marketing channels to promote your listings? Why are we asking that? Well, to me, I think they're still relevant in some cases. It depends on what you're doing. So you can't just say, oh, I only do this or I only do that. So this question is pointing out that direct mail, newspaper, magazine, radio, maybe you think it's obsolete, but it may not be, because you may be the only person doing it in a certain, form of media, which you're going to stand out. So maybe it is worth it for you to spend whatever, a couple $100 or $50 or whatever to get exposure for your company or your listing. So I think that's why I love the DNA, because it makes you think. And, as Julia said, David, wrote a blog post about it. And of course, paid digital ad campaigns, I think that's just growing immensely. I think a lot of people are doing that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess to me, I think that's part of the value of the DNA of CRE. And then you have people like the Massimo group, Rod Santamassimo, who goes to this incredible length to analyze the data and look at trends with respect to people's earnings. So he looks at the income and he compares some of the trends and writes incredible, what I would call, content about that. I don't know if any of you have read any of Rod's reviews or talks about DNA, but it's amazing the data that you can extract from the survey. So what other questions would anybody have about the survey? I'm happy to answer them. I want to go to this. I had all this queued up because I knew I'd forget. This year, we added a new component, which is about COVID. Now, we were really torn on this, but we felt that we just had to say something about COVID. So at the end of the survey, you're going to be asked 6 more questions. And the 6 more questions are, we really put a lot of time and effort in strategizing and discussing and planning to come up with these questions. And we thought that they were really appropriate. For instance, this one, which of the following are you watching most closely for your business decisions in response to COVID? And we list what we all brainstormed and said, what do you think people are monitoring that's going to impact their business decisions? And these are the kind of questions that we're so eager to see this year because of COVID. And this one, I'm real excited to see, what new tactic did you adopt in 2020 due to COVID? And I know David just made a comment that he's wearing 2 masks and he's wearing a shield and he's doing all these things to protect himself. And I think that all this stuff is part of our new world now. And so we're real excited to see the results of this component of the survey. So we did add a COVID-19 component. And then we have a lot of write-in answers, which I love, because you get people's opinions that are very insightful. And we always share that information with you in our findings and in our reports. And speaking of reports, when you go to the main site and you go to the hamburger menu at the top, let me see if I can get back to it here. You will see, let me do that we do share the reports. and you can go back and read about the past reports and see if you find any insight from going to the past. I know you learn a lot from that. So are there any other questions or any other comments or inquiries? David, Julia?
I've got
one comment, which is I just hope that this is the only year that we have a COVID section on the survey.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
John Weber has a question.
I've got one.
Oh, okay.
So I wrote this down when you were talking about the social media aspect of it and how it's kind of something that we should be doing, and it's a low-hanging fruit. Is there a particular means of social media that you find or have found to be a more dominant means of marketing property compared to others? For example, we just use Facebook, but we don't use like an Instagram, Twitter account, things like that.
Well, it's a fantastic question. And, I hear feedback from brokers from all different types of brokers and different property types. And I've heard people making deals on Instagram. I'm like, really? So I think it depends how you do it, how you execute it, and what your property type is. I think you could do a really good job if you have good photography and if you have, the time, because time is most important. I think that if you do it well, you can probably have good success on either Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm not a big Facebook person. I know people like Facebook. I think Facebook is difficult unless you're advertising. That's my opinion. If you're just using Facebook straight, you'd have to have a lot of people on your following your Facebook page to really get any impact. Are you talking about advertising on Facebook, or are you just using Facebook?
Advertising. I mean, we would take maybe a new promoted listing that we have or a new listing that we acquired, and we'll put the information on there. Generally, we put like links to sites, like we do links to quantum listings, so that when they click through it, it goes to more of like a directed website instead of just trying to feed them all the information.
Right. Well, I think the trend today is that you try to create a relationship, I'll use that word, with your audience, and you try to get them to, simple as it sounds, like you and want to help you or want to follow you and find your information interesting. That's not easy. So to me, on social media, you're trying to be interesting, you're trying to be yourself, and you're trying to get people to say, hey, and I don't know your name, I'm like, John. You're trying to say, oh, John is such a great guy. He's always posting such great stuff. And, he wrote about this property or whatever, and get people interested in you. I think that's more the trend than just saying, here's a property. Here, click this link to find this property. So I think there's a big difference. And I think that if you do it well and you build your own audience and your own following, I think you can do well on any of the platforms depending on how you do it. And I know that's a bad answer. It's a bad answer because it's vague. But David, you agree with me?
Yeah, and I think another important component is to be consistent. You can't just do it one week and then say, well, I didn't get results, I'm done. You really have to do it every week. And whatever schedules. And I think you want to lead with things that people are going to be more likely to respond to. So, I know you guys have like every single listing in Buffalo, but if there's like a restaurant or a beautiful building, something that people are going to have like an emotional connection to, I would, use something like that to help build interest in and that's the type of thing that somebody will share. Oh my gosh, did you see that, Nana's Diner is on the market, let's save it or let's buy it, or things that will get people talking, that people really have a response to.
Yeah, I think people need to get more. I think David's right. I think, and I've said this for years and years and years, and I really have not seen anyone do it well, where you have to really, I think, tell stories about what you do and tell stories about the properties instead of just, okay, it's 2,000 square feet and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just so like, nobody wants to read that. It's just like kind of boring. So I think that you have to, and it's time consuming. I was talking to Sarah this morning. We're talking about how difficult social media is. It's not easy. It's low hanging fruit in the sense that there's no cost, but time is a cost. So you have to really do it thoughtfully, and you really have to plan out what you want to do. And I would get it down to some sort of a system. So whatever feels right to you, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Twitter, I think it's a personal choice, because I think on all the platforms, the audience is there. So the key is that the audience is there. Facebook, I don't know if the audience is there. I'll be honest with you. In advertising it is, but just using Facebook free, I don't give it, I don't think of it as that beneficial.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Hey, Linda,
you're welcome. Yeah.
are you still trying to share your screen, or David, did you want to take over the screen?
It's up to Linda if she wants to show us more on the survey.
No, I don't know if everybody wants to just go through these questions or not. I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's that interesting, but I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I'm just.
Well, no, I think, I think if we can go through the questions quickly, it'll give people a sense, and maybe they want to take the survey along with you as you're doing. I think probably most of the folks here are probably on the brokerage end of the business, so I would maybe go to the brokers version.
Okay. Can you see the screen okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So anyway, this is the broker survey. And the first part of the survey is really learning about you and your brokerage. We want to know, are you independent or national? Of course, that's always a top question. What percentage are independent and national? It seems to be pretty close over the years, but it is a question we're tracking. Your geography, where are you from? Are you a city, suburban, or rural broker? How many brokers are in your local office? We always like to know that, because it's interesting to see, are there a lot of big offices or small offices? How many years have you worked in commercial real estate? What was your gross commission in 2020? And of course, this is an anonymous survey. We don't share your information with anyone. And we hope you're in the 2 million range. Then on average, how many hours do you work in a week? What age range do you fall into? And it's kind of funny. Every year since we've been doing the survey for 6 years, most of the brokers are in the 50 to 70 year range. That's our majority, believe it or not. They're not in the 20s, the early 20s.
I hope I get to fill it out when I'm over 70, Linda.
Yeah, right. What gender do you identify with? Which property type do you primarily specialize in? Which property type did you sell or lease the most in 2020? And then we ask you about how you manage your data at different phases of your deal cycle. We change it up a little bit to kind of have a flow. So like, what is your top source for finding property information? And you can see the different names here. And I don't know if, on this call right now, how many people, recognize all these names, but I think it's good to be aware of what's out there. How do you gather your comp information and data? Do you source it yourself? Does your company provide it? Do you share your comp data with others? This is a good one. That's always been a big question at brokerages about, your data is, do you share it with other people? Does your company have a shared contact and research database? Do you keep a private database? And now we go into the next phase of the deal cycle. And we say, how do you prospect for new clients? And then we have the usual choices here. The cold calling, community involvement, direct mail, social media is down here, website lead forms. And this is changing every year. We're changing this because it is changing. It's evolving. Back in when we first started out, social media was just not, really being used. It is now, but it wasn't. How many hours a week do you spend prospecting? On average, how many new listings do you expect to win per month? What is the price of your average listing? What is the length of your average deal cycle from first on market to close? So how long is it taking you? And I think what's so neat about the survey is, seeing all the results, and especially from last year. I'm kind of intrigued to see how last year is going to change, if it's going to be different from considering the virus. Do you promote your listings on listing sites? Some brokers don't. Once you win a listing, do you manage the marketing process, or will someone else on your team manage it? Once you close your deal, do you manage the back office process, or will someone on your team manage that? And then we want to hear about your predictions for next year. And we always ask what you think the outlook is for the economy in our industry in 2021. That's going to be real interesting to see this year. I know it's been such a bad year. Which property type do you expect to sell or lease the most of this year? How do you stay up to date with what's going on in CRE? Are you following business news, company trainings, CRE news, social media, other? What did you do for CRE self-education or improvement this year? This was a question that I wanted to have answered, because I think a lot of people were trying to sharpen the saw last year because they did have the time, they had the ability to be home, they didn't have to travel as much, so maybe they had a little bit more time where they could spend, watching an online video or taking a class or hiring a coach. And then for the last 4 years, brokers have identified relationship as their top stimulus for winning business. Do you think that is going to remain in 2021? That has always been like 75% say relationship building is their top reason for winning business. Nothing else was predominant. And then how do you think the CRE industry staffing needs will change in 2021? And obviously there's probably a strong pattern there of shrinking, but who knows what people are going to say, what the pattern will be. Does your company plan to actively recruit more brokers this year? And finally, tell us more about the tech that's powering your work. And this is where it gets into, you can write in these answers. What tool or technology do you use that you feel is the most valuable to your deal cycle? What tool or technology do you feel is missing from the industry that would help you with your day-to-day work? And then we ask you for your email, which is optional. So, and then of course we want to know if you want to be entered into our raffle, because we give out raffle prizes throughout the time we're doing the survey, because we want to encourage people to take it. So that's it.
Yeah, that's great. And this year,
Hey, Linda, are there any examples of the? Oh, go ahead, David.
I would say,
I'm sorry, what, Julia? You broke up.
go first, Julia.
No, David can go ahead.
So, last year was such an unusual year. And, one of the things that you read about is how trends that were already in place really just accelerated. So, particularly when it comes to using technology. I mean, 10 years ago, how many people would have said that Zoom or Google Hangouts or GoToMeeting was an important part of their toolbox? But this year, it really is. And what other tools have people had to resort to in the last 12 months because of the situation that we're all in, and to keep ourselves safe, but also making some money. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing this year's results and seeing how it captures what has been going on in the world, because we live in the real world, and I can't see anything other than the answers to this past year's survey have got to be a lot different than the year before.
Well, I think it's funny because last year when we launched was literally right smack dab in like the fury of the virus when it first was coming out, and it was just chaos. And we had more respondents last year than we've had this year so far. We're not done, of course. We've got several weeks to go. But last year we had almost 1,000 respondents. I think we were shy by like 2 or 3. We had like 997 respondents combined, brokers and marketers. So I'm eager to see this year, but I'll tell you, I mean, with everybody else, I mean, I think in some ways it was so good that it happened to us because it shook us up, and it's like you said, I still don't use Zoom myself. I use it. I go on calls. I don't have my own Zoom. I mean, I do have my own Zoom, but I don't use it every day. I use Zoom per conference. But overnight, Zoom became generic. It's like you'll say, oh, we're going to Zoom, but it's not even Zoom anymore. So overnight, Zoom has just become part of our lives for everybody. You know, families, children, our industry, every industry. And I think a lot of people, I think, are zoomed out, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I feel maybe they're burning out from being on the computer all the time. What do you guys think?
I can tell you at the end of the day, you know, unless it's like a, you know, most of the days I don't want to like have like a social Zoom thing, because you're right. I think I am zoomed out by by the end of the day.
Right.
But like you know, I had unfortunately a funeral for a friend's father the other day, and
Yeah.
you know, it was.
Yeah, we had one too, a virtual funeral.
And it was better than not being able to, you know,
Right.
get sort of grateful
Yeah.
to have his memory
Right.
paid respect to. But you know, Zoom is no substitute for a hug. You know, it's
No. But people are struggling, like today, you know, being with you now, you know, how else can you do this? I mean, you can't. And you know, I was reflecting on my business and thinking about all the contacts that, you know, going to CRE Tech or going to ICSC. I mean, you meet so many people. It gives you so many people to work with, you know, going forward, and you're not meeting those people. And I think you know, guys have probably heard about the Clubhouse thing. I think that's why Clubhouse is ramping up so rapidly as a means of reaching people, but it's without video. So it's more like being on a phone call. And I think that's a fascinating trend that's just like ramping up like crazy. It's just audio.
Yeah.
Hey, Linda, can you guys see my screen?
Oh yeah. Excellent.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to? I know you mentioned it, but I wanted to make sure that people knew about tomorrow night as well.
Right.
Do you mind giving us a brief little description?
Yeah, I don't know how many of you are Twitter users, but Casey Flannery and Melissa Alexander are just two fabulous colleagues of ours that started what's called CRE Chat. And basically on Twitter, if you follow a hashtag, you can literally follow a conversation and engage and work on, and type into Twitter and answer and ask questions and communicate with people. They've been doing it for a couple years now, and they are a promo partner for DNA of CRE, and they have offered to do a CRE Chat, which they do for us every year. So it's kind of like what we're getting together here right now, but instead of being on video, instead of talking, you're literally typing and communicating, which it's so funny when you think about it. It's kind of just sending messages back and forth, but it is a good way to learn how to use Twitter, and it's a good way to meet people. So I highly recommend it. Tomorrow night, Thursday at 7:30 Central. If you're on Twitter, find the hashtag CRE Chat. The actual Twitter site is CRE Chat Live, and that is their site. But if you follow that hashtag, you'll find us.
Elias,
Yeah, and I will say with Twitter, I did not have a Twitter until I heard about CRE Chat for work, at least. And I encourage you to keep an open mind with it, because I talked with someone on CRE Chat who now we have had on a webinar, and I met her for lunch back when we were allowed to go out to lunch together. And Liz Berthollet is her name. She's works for
absolutely. Yeah.
She's super, super smart. She's done multiple quantum listing webinars, and we never would have met if it weren't for CRE Chat. So that was a really cool little thing for me, and I wanted to share that with you all.
I think that's
and it shows you that networking comes in all shapes and forms today due to the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, people are just, like I said, I can't even remember who it was yesterday was saying, if any broker wants to know about social media and online marketing, he said, and how much success I've had, I'm glad to talk to him. He said, because it's so many people poo-poo it or say, oh my God, it doesn't work. He said, I have done so well with it. And, it's like you said, David, it's being committed to it and putting the time in.
Yeah. Elias, I saw you raise your hand. You want to say something? Oh, I don't think we can hear you. I'm not sure why. Maybe your phone's on mute?
You type in the chat too.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Elias. But
Are you muted, Elias?
he
He's talking, but we can't hear him.
can hear him. So maybe just
Very type in the chat, Les.
Oh, he's on twice.
yeah. Well, he's got his phone and his computer, so that's, I think.
Yeah, but he's got two cameras. My mic is green.
Yeah, no, your mic is green, but we can't hear you. I don't know why. But maybe just if you put it in the chat, I will repeat. I'll repeat whatever it was you were going to say because we would love to.
Oh, darn. We wish you could hear you, Elias.
Yeah.
Linda, do you want to put your contact info in the chat? I have
Sure.
Quantum Listings contact info here, but make sure people know how to get in touch with you. As David said, Linda is, I can't remember what, you said the godmother. I'm going to call her the queen.
Oh, please.
If you don't know Linda, you can tell she's not shy. So pick up the phone, call her, email her, tweet her. She'll retweet your tweets, guaranteed.
Right.
It's just for those not looking at the tweet, had said that he had very positive experiences with different social media, and I would invite everybody who has Twitter or any social media that you'd like to share with the rest of us to put that in the chat so that we can follow you and and friend you and whatever. LinkedIn is also, I think, a great place to post your listings. And I'm pretty sure you can do it from the broker list as well, but Quantum Listing, you can post all your things, and Linda also shares listings via the broker list to her Twitter, to the broker Twitter account.
Right.
So
I think we're similar, David, what we do.
Yeah, and that when you're posting on your own, tag at the broker list, tag at listing, and we'll see it, and then we will also like it, and we'll share it as well, so that way you expand reach. And Elias also says Twitter's ability to do direct mailings can be powerful. I think the direct messaging, so that's great. And also, I had a friend who I was talking to, a broker in New York City, who was saying that he started going sort of rocking it old school again. He started doing actual mail pieces, which I stopped doing, so several years ago, in favor of email and social media, and maybe it's time to give mail another shot. He was saying that he was getting like a 4 or 5% response rate to the mail pieces that he was saying. It was very targeted too. It wasn't a shotgun like social media.
Right.
So that would probably account for the higher response rate. But I guess when times are hard and the phone isn't ringing, you just have to sort of go back to square one and do all the things that you did at the beginning and try a little bit of everything to see what works.
Right. I think postcards are fabulous.
Linda, I have a question for you. I know a lot of people have been coming in and out on this. So some people might have missed what you said about prizes. And I know people like incentives to take surveys. Do you mind repeating the prize aspect?
Yeah, we're just doing random drawings and doing different gift cards. I don't have that off the top of my head what they are. I didn't even think to bring them. That's my fault. But they're gift cards.
It's even better.
Like Starbucks or Nike or Whole Foods, and we're just doing random drawings, which is fun. So we're just picking somebody who's taken the survey, and then we're announcing them as a winner. And we did it last year too. And I was surprised at the number of people that said, no, I don't want a raffle prize. I'm like, really? But so anyway, the bottom line is people said, they said, I'll take the survey anyway, Linda. You don't need to give me a prize. I said, oh, okay.
So
I will say about the prizes, I know sometimes people are a little like skeptical, but the
I know.
DNA of CRE, they tweet out the prize winners. They truly, truly, truly pull raffles left and right. So it's not one of those things that like you never hear about. You will hear about it, guaranteed.
And we truly pay for these gifts. We truly get this. I mean, a lot of it we get on Amazon, and it's so easy to send somebody a raffle prize from Amazon. I mean,
let me relay a couple of other things that Elias pointed out. First of all, he's endorsing the direct mail idea. He's saying that he got a great buyer for a nice property with direct mail, whereas with LoopNet, he was really just getting lowball offers.
Oh, so, interesting.
I think that's good intelligence. Thank you for sharing that. And he also said that he was able to find a buyer from direct messaging on Facebook. So I think, one of the things that Elias is pointing out is that, the shotgun approach is good, but maybe once in a while you need to use a rifle also. And
right.
Target people.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, there was a broker yesterday talking about Instagram, and I'm not a huge Instagram user myself personally, but people really swear by it. They say it's doing a good job, and of course Twitter too. But Twitter to me has been around a lot longer for us. Instagram's newer to our industry as a tool, but people are saying it's working. They're selling property or leasing property or whatever it is they're doing.
How about TikTok? Have you tried TikTok?
No, I had. Oh yes. Oh gosh. From the influencers, yes, like the Eddies and the Kyles. They claim that they've gotten business from TikTok, but that's really, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that to everyone. I mean, you've got to be the right person for that. I'm not big on video, so don't ask me about TikTok. I'll put my dog on TikTok, but not myself.
Elias has also gotten good leads from Twitter, so he's worked social media. Good for you.
Well, Elias, I hope I'm following you because I want to know you on Twitter and social media. I hope he puts his name in his Twitter name in the box in the chat.
I don't know. I'm gonna look him up. Let's see if I know he's a quantum listing user. I'll have to see if he added his Twitter to his profile. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing, David. As somebody like you and I and Julia, what we do, it's so frustrating when people don't fill out their profile.
Yeah, and it's really beneficial for a lot of reasons. First of all, I think it gives the search engines more stuff to index and go up higher in search results if you actually take the time to add your website, add your social media, add your profile, add your bio. These are all things that are going to make you, end up, ranking higher and getting more clicks.
Right.
And plus, when people do find you, what a great way to give them a nice 360-degree view of who you are, and they can put you through the test. I mean, I know that it's been a long time since I said I was dating long before Google existed, but I know that people who date Google their dates before they go out with them, and I can tell you that people who are hiring real estate brokers are probably doing that as well. So.
Right. Well, I wrote an article a long time ago, years ago, about, and the title of it was "People Really Do Check You Out." It's like, believe it, they're checking you out. I mean, they're doing it extensively. And when I see people join our site and leave their profile kind of half done, or they don't finish it, I'm so disappointed for them, because every day we're getting people searching for a broker for some reason or another. And it's so sad when someone from the general public will email me and say, Linda, I want to find somebody in this area. And it could be this tiny, I just had one yesterday. It was outside of Seattle. And, it wasn't Seattle proper. So, of course, nobody's putting in their profile that they are covering this market or anything. It's like, why are you not telling us what you do and where you work and what you cover? Because a lot of brokers, just because their zip code is one zip code, doesn't mean anything, because they could be working in a whole area, and they're not articulating that. They'll say, oh, I'm from this place or I'm from that place, but they're not really showing the user, the person looking to hire them, what their area of expertise really is. What's your opinion of that, David?
I think you're right. It's important to sort of sell yourself, and everything you have on the internet is basically a billboard for the modern age, and you need to make an effort to do that. And to the extent you can't do it yourself, find somebody who can help you. It's not something, posting things is something that you need to do regularly. And there are tools, actually, I think I learned about one of them from Linda about 5 years ago, called Buffer, where you can, and I think our partner, the CRE Collaborative, has something on their site called My Social, where you can schedule out your tweets on using My Social also. If where your next customer is coming from already, you're a smarter person than me. I have never been able to figure that out. It's always exciting and random. Sometimes you get phone calls, you get emails, you get notifications from different listing services. Customers come from everywhere, and especially as the digital natives become a more important part of our business, they're not going to, I'm 58, and the tools that I started out in the industry with in 1986 are still valid, but there are so many more, and you have to reach people where they are. We started doing on Quantum Listing these Google Display Network ads, which you can do for your listing. And in some ways, it's like sending your listing out into the world to find your customer instead of making your customer come find your listing. So there's all sorts of great tools like that. I had an intern about 4 or 5 years ago who just started working for a company based in Chicago called Realty Ads, and their specialty is finding ways for you to, using artificial intelligence, advertise on either LinkedIn or Facebook, and based on what they determine, and their artificial intelligence determines where the best place to put things. And just like when you shop for a pair of shoes, and then that pair of shoes follows you around to every website you go to, your commercial real estate listing can do that also. So there are it's a brave new world out there, and we don't get to choose the world we live in. We just have to decide how we're going to respond and react to it and participate. So
well, my frustration is that it comes down to this simple thing that I tell people all the time. It's text. In other words, if you don't type in the data, it's not there to be found. So if you have a profile and you don't describe yourself or put keywords in there that can be found, Google can't find it. Google cannot scan. They can scan images, sort of, if you have alt text, if you have text behind it, but the majority of people don't even understand that. And so Google can't really scan images meaningfully unless the image has data with it. So remember that, everybody. Your images should have data with them. And if you do video, unless you're completely doing a really good job of putting in keywords and filling out all the content necessary, your video won't be found either, because Google can't scan a video, but they can scan text. So people have to remember, build up the text. It's so simple, but they don't do it.
Yeah. And the other thing, which is, been dawning on me, is that more and more people are doing voice searches, and so they're asking their phone to, find such and such.
Right.
And so when you're writing that text, whether it's the subject line of your listing or the description of your listing, think about how somebody would ask their phone. I mean, more than 50% of searches are coming from mobile devices now, and
right.
I'm sure there's a good statistic, which I don't know, but I'll learn about how many people are doing voice searches. But write your text the way that people speak. People don't say, "I'm looking for a prime corner." People say, "I'm looking for a retail store, a retail space in downtown Las Vegas." So think about how your customers, and if you can't think of that, just type in a Google search and see what the results are on the first page, and steal whatever you can from that first page. So that's
right
today.
Right. That's so important.
Yeah. So
in fact, I wonder, David, how when people put weird stuff in their headlines, how it's reading that, how it's going to, like, if you put numbers or something, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because how, like, if you put 1,000 SF, it's like, okay, I mean, is that, I don't know. It's really square feet, but if you abbreviate, that's bad because it doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and I don't have that answer. And
if I said 1,000 square feet, and everyone's got SF.
Well, yeah, I think you really just need to try to think the way that your customer is going to think,
Right.
and not just be thinking in real estate jargon. Think about
right.
natural
Right.
human language.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you're right, Elias. Well, I really appreciated meeting everybody and being on the call and talking about the DNA of CRE. It was wonderful.
Yeah. So thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
This was great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your participation today. We love seeing you, and
yes.
hope that you got something out of this, and hope to see you real soon on the next one.
Bye, everybody.